Hello, and welcome to 5 Minute Math. Today we are looking at the 7th grade concept of solving graphs. This is 7.6G Readiness Practice, the advanced version. If you are interested in exploring the 7.6G Readiness Practice for the intermediate or proficient versions, or the Readiness Practice resource along with any other standard, you can find those by using the link in the video description. So we've got this graph here showing total rainfall in inches for the first 6 months of the year in River Oaks, Texas. So let's go ahead and put some numbers here because we're going to need that. So 3, we've got a 3.5, we've got a 4, 4.55, and then that is also a 4. All right, we need a percentage of the total rainfall for the first 6 months of the year, which is what we have here, right? January through June. In January. Okay, so really what we're looking for, if we can bring it down here a little bit, we're looking for January over June, or over the total. And so that's going to be 3 over, all right, let's total this up here. I've got 3, I've got 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, and 4. That's all of them. So this is a 0, and all right, so I've got a 10, I've got a 24. Okay, so 3 out of 24 is going to be my percent, and that's going to be 1/8. And if you don't know that, it's benchmark fraction. It is 12.5%, or 0.125 is our fraction there. So let's circle that, 12.5%, 12.5%. Now, what percentage of the total rainfall occurred in the 2 months with identical rainfall amounts? That is going to be these two right here. And so that is going to be 8 over still our total of 24. So that is going to simplify down to 1/3. So that is another benchmark fraction. We call that 33.3 repeating. I like to do 33.3%. All right, those are our two answers. Next, we have a dot plot here. Total number of free throws made out of 5 attempts by each player in the school basketball team. So what percentage of the total number of players made all their free throws? Well, we have to do a little bit of reading here. When it says all of their free throws, we need to know that there are 5 attempts. So really, these are the only ones that made all of their free throws, 5 out of 5. So it's going to be 3 out of, let's see, I've got 3, I've got 6, I've got 4, I've got 2. So that's 15. So 3 out of 15. That is going to be 1 out of 5. And so that's going to be 20%. All right. We could put a circle around that. Next, what percentage total number of players made less than half of their free throw attempts? Well, technically half is going to be like right here. But you can't make 2.5 free throws. That's exactly half of 5, but you have to either make 2 or 3. They have to be integers. So really, we're just looking now at these two right here. These are the only two that made less than half. So that's going to be 2 out of 15. So we are going to need to divide that. That's not a benchmark fraction. So let's see if we can get a percent on that. So 15 goes into 2 once. We have to add zeros quite a bit here. That's going to be 3, 45. And look what we have here. We're just going to keep going back and back and back. All right, so it's going to be 13.3 repeating, or we can say 13 and 1/3%. Or you can say 13.3 repeating percent. That is also technically correct. I just think the 1/3 is just a little bit cleaner. For number 3, we have 150 animals out for adoption, and we got birds, dogs, cats, and others. So how many animals at the shelter are not? Okay, dogs, cats or birds. So we're just looking at other. Okay. And I've got 40%, 30%, that's 70. 10% is 80. If I add up the 40 and the 30 and the 10, I get 80, which means this has to be, it's the rest of the pie graph. Pie graphs are 100%. Therefore, that's got to be 20%. So I need 20% of 150. Two ways to do that. I can make a proportion. There's probably more than two ways. These are the two that I find the easiest. So 20% is the same as 20 out of 100. So I'm looking for how many animals out of 150. That's my total. Make that. And I can do a little cross multiplication. All right, so that's going to be 100x. And then 2 times 150 is 300. So if I multiply that by 20, it's a factor of 10. I add another 0. Then we just divide both sides by 100 to isolate the variable. It's like dropping off the 2 zeros. So x equals 30. So I can put that right there. Now, the other way to do that sometimes might be a little bit easier, sometimes might be a little bit more difficult. You just take 20% of 150, turn this into a decimal, 0.2. So just multiply that by 0.2, bring the decimal down. You see that one? That one was a little bit easier that time. So if the local animal shelter placed an additional 200 animals up for adoption with the same proportion, all right, so we're putting an extra 200 animals in there. How many cats would there be in all? Well, I don't know how many cats there are right now, but we don't necessarily need to know how many cats there are right now. We're going to keep the same 30%, and now we're just going to do 30%, but instead of 150, it's going to be the 150 plus the 200. So 150 plus 200. So that's going to be 30% of 350. So let's multiply. I feel like that's going to be a little bit simpler for us here. And that's going to be 0, 15. All right, so 105. So I have to bring that decimal down. So there will be 105 cats in all. That's 30% of 350. If you are interested in exploring the 7.6G readiness practice for the intermediate or proficient version, or the readiness practice resource aligned with any other standard, you can find those by using the link in the video description.